Today, I had the option to be two places. I could be on a chairlift going up the side of a mountain in Lake Tahoe, California, in a year where they've had more snow than they've had in 40, or I could be here on a stage with you at Bentley University, delivering a message worth spreading. And I found myself asking, is it going to be worth it? And I wonder if you all ever have that question. You're working on something for a long time, maybe days, weeks, months, maybe even years, invested a lot of time, sweat equity, and you're asking yourself, is it going to be worth it? As I was asking myself this question, it occurred to me, well, maybe if I got a thunderous applause from this audience, maybe then I would know it was worth it. Or maybe if I got other opportunities to speak as a result of this event, maybe then it would be worth it. Or maybe, the best, maybe if a book contract came from this event, then I would know that it was worth it. And then the irony hit me, because this very talk is about the secret to being valued in the workplace, and my premise is that it's the complete opposite of these external things I had become so obsessed with. This question, is it worth it, is rooted in what we get. And the secret to being valued in the workplace is in fact rooted in what we bring. And today, I am taking the option to enthusiastically bring you a message worth spreading. Three other things that I want to share as context for this talk. One is that I have a podcast. The second is that I've had a side speaking gig for about 10 years. And the third is that I've been in the same corporate job for 20 years. And a theme that the three things have in common is around workplace satisfaction. Why this theme? Well, as I was preparing for the workforce, for one thing, it took me a long time even to get out of undergrad. When I finally decided on what I wanted to do, the graduate program, moving across country, the money, the debt, all of that investment, I wanted my work to matter. And when I landed in the corporate workspace, my experience was the complete opposite. I found the work to be very repetitive. I felt like I was working in a vacuum. And to be honest, especially in those early years, I was really bored. It was the complete opposite of all of the things I had hoped and prepared for my work life. So about 10 years into this, I chose to start studying what makes good work. Is there such a thing? Can we get underneath this? What are the ingredients to satisfying work? And as I learned those things, I would share them. I joined the National Speakers Association locally. I would share those tips with people, interactive presentations and such. And now the podcast where you can really get into the nitty-gritty. You can have long conversations, this messy middle between what we hope work could be and what it actually is. And an idea that comes up a lot is this around, you deserve to be valued in the workplace. You deserve to be valued, Linda. And I would ask, like, deserve? Like, is that the right word? It felt a little Pollyanna to me. Do I deserve to be valued in the workplace? Do you deserve to be valued in the workplace? Does every human on the planet deserve to be valued in the workplace? Is it even possible? So I started to ask my guests this question. What does it mean to be valued in the workplace? How has it changed over the years? How does it show up? How do you know it's happening? And the answers that I got fell into three big buckets. One is around recognition, just someone noticing that you're there, noticing the work that you do. Sometimes it's more public recognition or recognition by the right person. The second category is around money, promotion, financial compensation. And the third category is around voice, specifically around sharing voice and being asked to share a voice, knowing that your perspectives, the things that you bring are important to important meetings, initiatives, things that are happening in the workplace. But here's the catch. Just like my book contract, those three things, the accolades, the money, the being asked to share a voice, they're all signs of the external validation. They're all distributed and controlled by people outside of yourself. So imagine you are offered the perfect job. It's exactly what you want. Whatever factors those are, as Kaya was mentioning, they're unique to you. Maybe it's the right money, the right description, but there's a clause in the contract. And the clause says essentially that you're going to owe your entire sense of self-value and self-worth is now in the hands of your boss. Your boss is 100% in charge of your sense of self-value. So a note about bosses. The research shows that most employees quit their job because of a situation with a boss. And I'd argue that most bosses are, in fact, doing the best they can. They've been promoted because of some technical proficiency. Maybe they're a fantastic individual contributor, but the chances that they've gotten good managerial training are pretty slim. If your boss hasn't had training, if they haven't had breakfast, please do not rely on this individual for your sense of self-value and self-worth. There's folly there. There's risk in looking to signs outside of yourself for your sense of worthiness in people and in circumstances that are just inherently messy. No, the value is not in the things that you get. It's in the things that you bring. And I call this our core value. So what am I talking about here? I'm talking about, yes, our values, but also our beliefs, our background, our experiences, all of the things that fuel who we are when we are our best, when we are infusing our best energy into any work that we are doing. For me, I identify with the theme of educator. I'm not in the education space, it's not the profession, it's more the energy that I bring when I'm operating and showing up in my best. And this is a result of a couple of things. When I was in high school, I had some fantastic teachers, but I actually had a pretty poor elementary school education. High school sophomore year, I was taking a geometry class, not doing that well, but the teacher was pregnant, she went on maternity leave, and retired Mr. Thorne came in to take her place. Mr. Thorne was scary. I had heard about him from my older siblings, but he was effective, and my grades changed immediately. He had a way to connect with me as a student in a way that the previous teacher had not been able to, and he'd been doing this math his entire life. That ability to connect with me as a student made a major impact on me. And when I'm doing my best, when I'm showing up my best, that's the energy that I'm fueling. Email conversation, any type of communication, training, anything that I'm doing at work is fueled by that. But what was even more awesome was what I could see in Mr. Thorne. He absolutely knew that he was having an impact on me. There was a mutual exchange happening there. He could see the light bulbs going on, and he knew that it was a result of his ability to connect with me. It's fantastic. It's lived with me my entire life. So I'm not saying that external validation isn't important. It's extremely important in this large satisfaction puzzle. It's very important. But when you're operating from the core, and this is the plot twist, when you're operating from your core, you actually get more of those external things. You get more kudos, you get more promotion, you get more opportunities to share voice. So talks like this, long-form podcasts, they're often educational, sometimes inspirational, and the best ones for me aren't necessarily the ones that are wrapped up with a beautiful bow at the end. The best ones for me are those where the noodling continues in my head in the days, the weeks following the event. Conversations continue as I connect things that I've heard here today already this morning with things that are actually happening in my life. I come up with a new aha, a new learning. And that's my invitation for you today. As you're proceeding in your days and weeks following this event, look for where the content impacts you and your life. What are your new ahas, your new learnings? And while you're doing that, consider your core. Who is it that you are when you're showing up in that best energy? Maybe it's educator, like mine. Maybe it's maker, creator, innovator, entrepreneur. It's anything, any word that kind of encapsulates who you are when you're showing up in your best energy. Who is that, and how can you infuse that in any work that you endeavor to do? So next week, whether you're on a chairlift in Lake Tahoe, California, or you're in the office, or you're in the classroom, and you find yourself asking, is this worth it? I invite you to flip that conversation. Consider your core. Consider what you can bring.